This is your home for the most competitive football in the state of Michigan. Your home for the most comprehensive coverage week in and week out. This is the Mac Attack with Zach and Zach.
Gentlemen, back in the basement, and we have the first week of playoffs in the books, and boy, we saw some things that did happen, right, ahead of time, and then there were some things that happened that we did not see coming. In fact, there was something that happened that I'm not sure really anybody saw coming last night. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Completely unpredictable, and that's what we expect in football playoffs.
I don't know if I expected that to happen, but wow.
Well, for what it's worth, last week I said that a winless team is going to win a playoff game. Then I said, when talking about Oak Park and Grosse Pointe South, it won't be right here.
Right.
I also said that if I'm Grosse Pointe South, I think I can beat every team on this side of the bracket.
And, well, there was a team that said, wait a second, not so fast, Bryce. We are way better than our 0-6 record shows.
So let's run down these scores, and we'll get to the upset first. Number 8, this is in Division II, District 14. Number 8, Oak Park, 35 on the road over number 1, Grosse Pointe South. Final score, 35-27. That's the first time. I mean, and this is like it's a big stat, but at the same time, it's kind of obvious
It's
that this
the only time it's ever going to happen.
a winless team has never won a playoff game before.
Because normally you wouldn't be in.
Obviously.
So now the records of it, the records are go out the window.
So it's kind of a weird stat, right? Like it's that thing that nobody else will probably ever do again unless we have this happen again. And
sure.
Let's hope that's not
Oak
the case.
Park's got the record. They can put it up on the wall.
Shifting to the Division I bracket, Eisenhower on the road falls to Chippewa Valley in the rematch. That was our Elma College game of the week, 21-14. Romeo on the road, a big win over Anchor Bay. Romeo playing really well right now. That in District 8. In fact, all of these games except for the last one are in District 8 minus Oak Park and Grosse Pointe, of course. Romeo wins 20-6. Also in District 8, Dakota, big win at home over L'Anse Creuse North, 43-6. And then up in District 7, Stevenson pounds Farmington 41-15. So, it was a good day for the most part in the MAC Red, gentlemen, but we were so excited about it. And this is not on Grosse Pointe South, right? But we were so excited about having another team in a different bracket, and that one goes out the window.
We thought it was something that we'd be talking about for weeks now. We thought I thought for sure, knowing that for Division II, we were going to get to talk about Grosse Pointe South for weeks to come. I was excited to see what they were going to do in playoffs. I made the analogy of playoffs almost being easier than what your previous schedule was. But, the same could have been said for Oak Park. I mean, if you look through what they were, the narrative for this team.
Well, the OAA Red is just so good.
It really is.
Is it better than we thought it was? That's the question.
Yeah, and I guess you would think
they were
that maybe
last night in this game.
I guess
no
you
doubt.
would think that maybe they would ink out a win somewhere in there if they were really that good. However, you listen to the statements from the head coach of Oak Park. They're not the same team now in playoffs that they were in the regular season. They're healthier. They're getting back some of their
players.
They're
in the win column.
They're now they've got that momentum. They're going to be an exciting team to watch now too, because they do think they can make a deep run.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't watch this game in totality, but I got a good chunk of it, and I don't understand how this Oak Park team has not won a football game, and some of these plays, it was things just and it was because of what Oak Park was doing, but things just did not go Grosse Pointe South's way. I mean, there was a play late in the first half, a bad snap on a punt. I mean, Oak Park is 80 yards from the end zone. The snap is muffed, barely. Kid instead punting it, picks up and scores.
He ran 80 yards as a punter.
80 yards. 80 yards to the house. And there was a bunch of big plays for Oak Park in the second half. They scored on consecutive drives after scoring on that muffed punt. And, they forced Grosse Pointe South into some really difficult situations. But again, this is a team in Oak Park that was averaging 7 7.5 points a game. 7.5 points a game.
And he put up 35.
35 against a really good Grosse Pointe South.
It's a defense that we've been praising all year, and then they gave up. I don't know. I'm
trying to find stats on Will Johnson. I can't find anything. I don't even know if he played. I can't get confirmation on that. But you would think with a talent like that, on defense, you're not going to let Oak Park put up 35. This might be the most points.
It was the second week in a row he didn't appear on the stat sheet.
Yeah, which is puzzling to me.
I mean,
I wonder if have they ever allowed 35 points in a game?
They against
This season?
Against Stevenson they gave up.
Okay.
Was it 42?
Yeah, that was we'll get to Stevenson in a minute. They had a repeat performance of that offensively, but I mean, I don't know what to say about this game. I didn't see it coming at all.
I don't think anybody did.
But then
besides Oak Park.
But then when I watch Oak Park play, I think to myself, like,
how are they?
I'm so confused by everything I saw in that game last night. There were weird plays. The outcome to me was weird. The way it happened was weird. The fact that this team is 0-6 is weird.
It's really a sentiment of the season.
Well, and
like
that's
spooky ass Halloween, right? Like very appropriate.
But that's what GPS coach Tim Brandon had said. You know, he was quoted in the Detroit News. They're not really an 0-6 team. We have the utmost respect for Coach Carter and his program. They just made big plays and we made big mistakes.
Great movie.
He knew
Coach Carter.
that's for the save that for the basketball podcast.
Sam Jackson, baby.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
But no, he watched this tape. He watched this team play, and he's like, "Wait a second." I kind of feel like this is the opposite of the Romeo draw.
Yes,
this is the opposite of the Romeo draw. It's like Romeo got that great draw against a team like Anchor Bay, and now same thing happened for Oak Park. They're like, "Hey, this is a tough draw for South, and nobody really knew it unless you were paying really, really close attention."
I mean, the great thing about this season is that we had the opportunity to see games like this. I think this was the only one, to my knowledge, that actually went this way. But in any other season, Oak Park's not even in the playoffs, which you don't get to see this kind of this thing happen. You don't get to see how good Oak Park really is.
Which kind of makes you wonder, should the whole overall the 5 wins be thrown out the window because of a team like this, Oak Park, playing in the OAA Red that's just so good? Do you get a little bit of
format is based off of strength of schedule.
But do you still have to win the 5 games?
No. You can get in with 4 as long as your strength of schedule was harder than someone with 5.
But again, you got to win. You got to win.
Do you? Because this tells me otherwise. They did not win a game until playoffs.
If you don't have to win,
unprecedented.
If we don't have to win, we should just start with the playoffs.
Yes, it's like
let's just start that way because
then but
we're wasting our time.
But it's different than with like it happens with basketball, right? Isn't everybody in the district?
Everybody makes the playoffs in basketball,
but you also don't. I feel like the product is watered down. It's not as good until you get further in.
And you can play how many games in how many days.
Sure,
I think to me,
get that, but
this is an economy thing, not an economics thing, but an economy thing, and then that's the more teams you have in the playoff, it stretches things out far longer than it does in basketball. And to be honest, if they said we're no longer letting everybody into the basketball playoffs, I would say okay.
I would say great.
Well, let me
There's
ask
some
again.
teams,
You got to earn the.
But let me ask you this:
that don't belong in there.
Let me ask you this: would you say you'd be okay with one less week of out of conference play for the teams to allow maybe 1 or 2 more teams into playoffs?
I don't like that because I like seeing the cross conference. I like seeing how the conferences stack up.
Well, that's what you get in the playoffs, though, too.
But you really don't because in a regular year, the MAC Red's playing the MAC Red.
We'll save this debate for another time.
I
just like stuff like this. I like seeing a team that gets their first win in playoffs.
Everybody does, but the fact of the matter is that it's not going to happen every year. I think this is.
Is it worth it to have it happen one time? Everybody gets in for one. Zach needs one pleasure, so we're letting everybody into the playoffs.
Well, no, but look at this. Romeo wouldn't have been in the playoffs this year.
This is also true.
Well,
so it doesn't just end there. They wouldn't have been in the playoffs this year.
If you extend the season to a full 9 games,
they win their out of conference games?
I think they win 4 games plus strength of schedule. I think Romeo might be in the playoffs anyway. that is, though, that argument is unfair because now we're making all kinds of assumptions.
This is just hypothetical.
You are
at this
correct.
point.
You are correct that in that right now, if it was applied that way, Romeo would not make it. You are correct. So it's true. I'm not saying that you don't open yourself up for more upsets when you expand the playoffs, but like, is this what you want?
The likelihood that the
growth
upset
points
happens, it's not
do you want
great
it to
enough.
happen? Like,
it's not great enough to every year do this.
I do think it's interesting to see, though, that 2 of the 3 lowest performing teams in the MAC Red both got out of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what Romeo did, and Eisenhower was right. I mean, you almost had the bottom 2 MAC teams in a playoff game last night. It was right there.
Yeah, and I mean, Chip wasn't that far ahead of them either.
Well, you could make the argument that
a hell of a comeback.
That Chippewa was the bottom 2, part of the bottom 2.
Was how Ike was playing,
and how they finished.
I'm just saying, like, just record wise.
Well, no, because I mean,
they were 2 and 3, so
so if you do it when you. This is why I don't like ties in the NFL, because not everybody has one, and so it throws everything off. It's very annoying. So this is what happens when you have an uneven amount of teams. You have to go by
win percentage.
Right. So
the fact that they didn't play that last game bodes well for them.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the Blue Devils should hold their heads high. I know they're very disappointed. This was a really tough loss, especially when you look back to last season, losing in the first round as well. And they lost that game in tough fashion. Was it Cass Tech? We talked about this.
Yes, it was.
We talked about that ahead of time. Look, it's just a great season. I know it's a tough end. Yeah. I know that you hope and dream and work for more. But if you're Tim Brandon and if you're the entire Grosse Pointe South Blue Devil program, you've got to be just thrilled with the way that you were able to handle business in the MAC Red first time around. It bodes well for the future of that program and for the future of the MAC Red. Very exciting.
But to me, this is the Chippewa Valley story of last season. This is that first round where Chip lost to Dakota right off the bat in the first round of playoffs when you thought they were going to make a deep run, a beautiful performance in regular season, only to be ended in an upset in the first round of playoffs.
True.
This is what I'm seeing out of this Grosse Pointe South story is that of 2020.
Yep. Yeah. That is it's a great point, and it's a good transition as well. Our Alma College Game of the Week is brought to you by Alma College, where your life's work is waiting. Chippewa Valley at home, the 4 seed in District 8, going back to Division 1, obviously. A 21-14 win over Eisenhower. They were the 5 seed in that bracket. And, Zach, you said it. It's so hard to beat a team, really anybody, in this league. And, Dakota's going to have to face this same thing this week. Circumstances a little different, but still, it's so hard to beat a team twice. It's very difficult to do. Can they do it was our question.
They almost did.
Yeah, for a minute, it looked like they might.
Well, Ike had it going. It was 14. I mean, think about it like this. I give Chippewa Valley a lot of credit. You had lost 2 games in a row. You had your last game canceled. You're down 14-0. And the not the urge, but the convenience of the escape.
Yeah.
Of just packing in and being like, look,
throwing the towel.
Everything was weird. We tried. It didn't work out. And I know that that's not a default, but it's easy to slip into that.
For sure.
And they fought it off. Huge game from Cephas Harris, and he wasn't alone. Had help certainly from Hawkins, and you get a nice bounce back performance from Ryan Schuster as well. They had some good plays defensively, and what I saw, and the takeaway is Chippewa Valley's on to the next round. Like we said, a team you don't want to have to play, no matter what the situation is. But part of my takeaway here is, the way things worked out, right? Cardamone goes down in that game. Gtaw goes down in that game, right? I mean, that's something that Bryce had talked about ahead of time. And Bryce, I think you see as those things. I'm not saying that's why Chippewa Valley won. I'm not taking anything away.
Contributes to it,
I'm not blaming anybody on the other side.
Key seniors on that team. You lose 2 key seniors on any team, and it's going to be rough for you.
Especially the way that Gtaw had
played the past 2 games.
Changed the dynamic of that offense, right?
Totally. But this is we've said this all season long. You're talking about a Chippewa Valley team that they play all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
They are
No,
they are not
it's
going
true.
to let up. And that's the thing. When they see those little, it's like sharks in the water. They get a little sniff of the blood that's in the water, and they're like they're full blown attacking. They saw those things happen. They rallied around it, and they came back and they won to come back and score 3 unanswered touchdowns. Right. I mean, this is the good thing about a program like Chippewa Valley, and a good thing for them playoff wise moving forward is that they have the ability with their offense to just strike.
I mean,
and carry it out.
I do think this is good, but I'm starting to question the offense a little bit more, because against Romeo they got 37 points, and then the next week against Stevenson they had 42, and then they went on a run where they've scored 20 points. They went 17 at Grosse Pointe South, 20 at Ike the first time, and then 21. Like where is that big play?
There's no doubt
high-powered offense.
Bryce, there's no doubt that they are not playing their best football. Their best football was played in the beginning of the
Weeks
season.
2 and 3.
That was when they were really clicking. But yeah, they're not. They're not. They haven't been putting up big points. And it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup goes with Stony Creek next week, coming off their bye. They're the number 1 seed in the district, and it's going to be it's one of those unknowns. You don't know a lot about the Stony Creek team going into it for Chippewa Valley the way you did with Ike. So how's that game going to look? I'm really excited to find out.
Well, but I wonder maybe if you saw at the end of this game, like this Chippewa Valley team find that rhythm.
Yeah, that's what you got to look at, is that they scored all their points in the second half.
And so I wonder, like, because you're right, Bryce, the offense has not been there since weeks 2 and in week 3 as well. So you wonder to yourself, is it like those old school mopeds that you have to pedal start, but once you pedal fast enough, it starts and you don't have to pedal anymore? I wonder if maybe Chippewa Valley can get themselves into a situation like that. And if they can, we know what they're capable of, right? This team has all kinds of capabilities. And, I wonder, as we look at Eisenhower and over the last couple of years, even last year when their offense was better, the strength of the team has been defense. And, that's an old school Ike philosophy anyway, really in the MAC Red, right? It's a defense-based, even though things have changed offensively over the years, still the defenses are always so strong. I wonder with Eisenhower, you see the way guys like Preston Crum have played, and you lose guys like Dewicki, you lose guys like Cardamone. I wonder if Eisenhower going forward will see strengths more offensively over the next couple of years, and if they have the manpower to replace what they're going to lose defensively. I mean, Dewicki goes both ways.
If you're Ike, you hope so, because that would, if you can get that offense going. We've seen that when Ike has an offense, they're good because their defense is always good. So they just need to get that offense going, and hopefully they can hit that.
And it seems like they're trending in the right direction heading into next year. Certainly a tough loss for Eisenhower, much to be proud of. Travel to the heart of the Mitten and check out Alma College. You'll find a campus that feels like home with small classes and endless opportunities. The Alma commitment also means on-time graduation guarantee, academic and career planning, plus $2,500 to explore the world outside of the classroom. We'll stay in Division I, District 8. Romeo on the road, a 6 seed, 20-3 of victory over Anchor Bay. They were
20-6.
Sorry, 20-6. What time is it? I'm sorry. Who knows? So, guys, we wondered about Anchor Bay after getting shut out by Eisenhower. We sat down here a week ago and talked about Eisenhower's 24-0 win. But, we can talk about Anchor Bay and what they didn't do last night, but I'm not interested in that. This is not about what Anchor Bay couldn't do. This is about what Romeo was able to do last night. And
I was impressed. I was really impressed, and the way they did it, too.
I don't know if I'm impressed or angry, because where has this been?
You made a comment before. You said not only did they win, but they did it in the air. Like, what? That's not what we're used to seeing. Romeo's traditionally
two touchdown passes to Rolf last night.
You want the stats? 7 for 7 in the first half, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That smells like a MAC Attack Player of the Week if I've ever heard one. I'm just throwing it out there, but that's impressive.
I have another name, someone from the defense. Joey Kostrubiak had 7 tackles, a blocked field goal, 2 picks. He had a chance at 5. He dropped 3 of them. We're not going to talk about that. But he was all over the field, and then the defensive line. Can the whole defensive line get MAC Attack Player of the Week?
We've talked about that with offensive lines over the last few. I mean, we've had Zach.
Nothing but running backs.
So it's like we feel like we're missing something, right?
Yeah.
Like
we're not trying to knock the defense or ignore the offensive line, but you can't make those.
that was Zach's point, which so we have the whole offensive line, so we keep calling out all these running backs, right?
I mean, the defensive line had 7 sacks and probably another 5 hurries / pressures.
That was the other thing I saw too. Just the pressure that they were putting on Anchor Bay. Like they had no chance of getting anything off offensively. And you're looking at the scores. I mean, to hold the team to 6 points, we haven't seen Romeo do that the entire season.
Anchor Bay scored 6 points in the last 2 weeks against MAC Red teams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
And we knew going into
44-6.
We talked about this being the draw that was probably the most favorable in that district for a team that was seated lower. I mean, Romeo coming in at 6 for that, having a rough season, but now they're showing what they can do. They've had two of their best games the last 2 weeks.
They were not only were they getting a good draw, but they were coming into the season at the end of the playoffs at the right time.
Yes.
There was a twofer right there.
Absolutely.
They were playing their best football right now.
And you start to look at the names that were being called out. Before every name, I heard the word junior being announced, and it just shows that this team is very young.
They are extremely young.
That we knew the JV team from last year was good. This year's JV team was very good. They went undefeated the last 2 years for JV.
When's the last time Romeo's JV lost a football game?
It was the senior class. It was the senior class going back 3 years now. And I think the class before that, last year's seniors were undefeated. So I mean, you just have this talent coming up that we knew when you have a younger team, when you're dealing with injuries, it's going to take a while to click.
So, I wonder, Bryce, I look at this Romeo team and it seems like they have found a way to play through all 4 quarters and to finish games. But you mentioned the way things looked in the first half. It sounds like things were a little different in the second half. And I want to know what you think went into that.
That first half was probably the best football I've seen them play all year. I don't know what happened in the second half, but the mistakes started to compound on themselves. They had 2 turnovers in the second half, and they put the ball on the ground many times. Luckily enough, they were able to jump on it.
Yeah, those are wasted plays,
but
right?
They've had a problem with fumbling the ball, and that's something that they have to fix going into next week. And then the penalties. There was one drive where 3 plays in a row, they had 45 yards of total penalties. Anchor Bay went from 3rd and 18 on their own 48 or whatever it was,
to like field goal range and a first down.
I mean, the defense held them. They didn't score a point, but at the same time, that's something that you're not going to be able to do against Dakota.
And that exactly that works against a team like Anchor Bay, not necessarily against a team like Dakota. And this is where Romeo has to start playing the way Chippewa Valley plays.
Yes,
beginning to end.
That first half though, that was promising to see them play like that. It gave me hope. It gave the team hope that they would be able to compete throughout the entire 4 quarters against Dakota.
I think you look at this game at the end, and I have no doubt that even though things didn't go Anchor Bay's way at the end of the season, you're coming off of a campaign in which you won a MAC White championship. I think this is a program on the rise. I don't think there's any question about that. I think they'll continue to improve. And Romeo right now, they're easily playing their best football, but things are going to get, as they are well aware of, much more difficult in the district semifinal. It just, and we're going to talk about why that is right now. Number 2, Dakota at home absolutely steamrolls L'Anse Creuse North. And we talked about L'Anse Creuse North. They only played 4 games. They hadn't won any of them. Final score, 43-6. Right now it feels like you're getting maximum output from Dakota. Like I'm not sure what else they could be doing at this point, offensively, defensively, even on special teams. They've got a kicker getting D1 offers and Colin Kralip. Like there are so many things that they do well, and from every angle, it has to be so tiring to play against Dakota. Every down, every situation, they're coming for you.
Yeah, you're getting their best every play. It's you don't get a break. You don't get one of those, because if DJ Stephanie comes off the field, well, here's Caden Sloan or Ugo Umana.
Yeah. They've got an answer to every question that you're going to throw out there. There's not going to be it's going to be extremely tough to beat this Dakota team in any round of the playoffs, I think.
I would like to see the stats. I want to know how DJ Stephanie did. I want to know if he kept a streak of 100-yard rushing games.
I wonder how if they sat him towards the end with it just being such a runaway.
I would assume so.
He may have only played in the first half for all we know. I don't have a box score for this one.
This game wasn't. This game was not close
Ever.
No.
And
I mean,
we didn't
theoretically, I guess
expect it
after
to
the
be.
first, it's 7-0 at one point.
I mean, with the way that Dakota's been playing and the team that they were playing, we didn't expect to be close.
no, this what happened in this game is what was supposed to happen.
And yeah,
This was the correct thing. That again, this went the way it should have, and
This might have been your lock of the week. If you were going to pick one.
Yes,
I would, yeah.
I would. Yes, I absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Well,
I know.
No, it would've been my lock.
Gross Point South would have been my close second.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest
would
with you, look
agree
how
with
that
that.
worked out.
It would-
but because Lance Cruz North had only played 4 games,
That's the big factor.
and because Oak Park was in the red,
Yeah.
in Oakland County, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I don't like the term dark horse. I feel like it's one of those words that doesn't really mean anything anymore because people use it so frequently.
Yeah.
But I feel like, obviously people are talking about Belleville. People are
Clarkston.
talking about Davison, right? And for good reasons, all of them, right? Though Clarkston had a scare last night against Oxford.
Yes, they
that
did.
was a really good game. But I wonder if we're going to use the term dark horse, which I do begrudgingly, if Dakota's a dark horse to run to the title game right now. I mean, the way they're playing, I don't
think anybody's talking about them in a way
Yeah.
that they should be.
There's been more talk over the last 2 weeks around DJ Stepney himself, but
rather
again,
than the team. But
it's not just him. That's the thing, and we know
It's everybody.
The 3 of us know that here. I mean, you look at the JV and Stepney and his 700 yards going into the playoffs over the last 3 weeks, but he doesn't do any of that alone. You look at what the offense has been able to do offensively up front, using Caden Sloan. You mentioned Uko Omana, and then being able to throw the ball as they need to, when they have to, and then defensively, I mean, 6 points.
That works well for Dakota, actually. Sometimes when you have that big time player, especially on offense, it's not like defense where you just say, hey, we're going to throw away from him. You know what I mean? We're not going to throw to Will Johnson. No, you're coming in and you're saying you've got a player like Stepney. If you over prepare for him, you've got everybody else in your arsenal that you can throw at the team. It's very, very difficult to plan against one player who's also got 2 backups on the offensive end that can be just as threatening.
But it's like you have to over prepare for him, because if you don't,
Right.
he's going to hurt you in a major way.
Yes. Yeah, and we've seen that week in and week out. And I got to imagine that teams are over preparing for him. And he's still, that's what makes kids like DeJavian Stepney so dangerous, is what they're going to do. In fact, they will tell you what they're going to do ahead of time, and you still will not be able to stop
It's
it.
that Wildcat. He's getting the ball and he's running it.
It's the only one back there. Who else? Where else is it going? The center going to keep it? Like this isn't a fumble rooski, right? Like and again, it's so effective. And I give Caden Sloan that same credit when they run him in the Wildcat. You know where it's going? Yeah. Stop me.
That's what they want. They're one-on-one. You stop me.
Our best athlete against yours will take it any day.
Can you stop me? I don't think you can. That's their thought process.
And that's it, right?
So that's going to be a tough one for Romeo next week.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we were alluding to a minute ago.
Yeah.
That's one of the, I mean, and again, to me right now, anybody, like I would love to see down the road, because ultimately what you get here, in my mind, possibly is either Dakota and Stevenson again, or you get Dakota and West Bloomfield, in a regional championship.
Either way,
game.
I think we're all winners in that one.
If we get one of those 2
And
scenarios.
that's, you still have the opportunity to get either Chip or Romeo in that scenario too.
Correct.
Right.
So you could have 2 MAC red teams playing for, what would that be?
You can get 2 MAC red teams
Quarterfinal?
You can get them as far. You can get them as far as the regional final.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys.
can.
There's
You
still
can.
a tough
You can.
road.
That's what we're saying.
There's still a tough road ahead for all these teams.
Though unfortunately, the possibility of 2 state champions
Yes,
is gone.
it's gone.
That was
Scratch that.
long shot for sure. But yes,
It would have been nice to see.
It would have at least. And again, down the road, that's the thing that makes Grosse Pointe South so much fun, is that in the future this is going to keep happening. Not the first round exit, but I mean the threat of a deep playoff run.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah, they switch year from year from Division 1 and Division 2.
different bracket, right?
Yeah.
And that, to me, that It must be crazy. I mean, because if you're like a team like we're talking about Dakota, right? It's like they're never going to move.
No, because they're the most populated school in the state.
They're always going to be in the red, and they're always going to be in Division I. But teams like Grosse Pointe South, they get bounced around,
They're constantly fluctuating up and down.
Even Romeo at times, right? Not size wise anymore because Romeo has expanded, but back in the day they bounced in and out of the red and the white. Let's talk about one more, guys. Stevenson. This is District 7. This is the bracket above the games we just talked about. Stevenson rolls over Farmington. Stevenson, the top seed. That's a really good bracket. Stevenson 41, Farmington 15. And like with Dakota, this is what was supposed to happen. This is what was foretold in the prophecy. So many of these 8 seeds are so overmatched that what else could happen, right? I mean, what else could you expect from L'Anse Creuse North? And again, going back to what Oak Park did, what?
Yeah. You see how these other 8 seeds play against it. It's like, what happened? How? I don't know.
OAA red. That's what happened.
That's the only answer.
Dude, and I'm not accusing, this is a joke. I'm going to say this because I know that people take things, but I almost feel like Oak Park was sandbagging. Like they were holding like 10 kids. And look, we know that Oak Park, and we talk about a kid like Rayshawn Benny, one of the best defensive linemen in the country.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably going to go to Michigan. I mean, what did we say before the show? 40 offers. I mean, there are kids in this area that are like Will Johnson, right? That have where it's like, where are you going to school? And they pull out this book and they're like, oh, bro, I have so many choices.
Do you have any suggestions for me?
Yeah. You got a dart? Can we throw it at the wall? And so again, again, that's a joke. I'm not accusing Oak Park of anything, but you look at these teams and again with Farmington, God bless him. I'm not trying to insult them, but it's like you prepare, you work, but what do you do?
Yeah.
There are certain limitations that teams can't overcome, right? And on any given night, anything is possible, but on most nights, this is what's possible.
Yeah,
this is what happens, right?
Yeah.
And you saw it with Stevenson, and I gotta say, for Justin Newcomb, the transition here, I don't want to. This is not for me to say, but that never stopped me. The transition, the comeback. It is complete for Stevenson. It happened last night. For me, it happened last night, right? You have the year-over-year success as they move into the win column positively last year, but then in the postseason, right? They win 3 playoff games.
Barely making it in by the skin of their teeth.
I still can't believe that happened.
And then really, I mean, that game overtime against Davidson. And so we're talking about 3 playoff games. Then the next season, they win the MAC Red, and now they've won another playoff game. To me, Stevenson football, this is it. It was probably
welcome back to better days.
You could have probably said this a couple of weeks ago, or even going into this season.
But now it's cemented.
It is for me, right? Yeah. And that doesn't mean that their work is done. That doesn't mean that they stop now. It means now, in fact, the work has now just begun. Congratulations. Now you have gotten to the point where this is what's supposed to happen every single year. It's into the playoffs and then more.
Well, the question is this year less successful if they don't make it as far in the playoffs?
So Zach talked about that last week, and to me, it's like it's so hard to compare year over year, especially in situations like that. I mean, theoretically, the goal each year is to go as far in the playoffs as possible. So if you took it at that metric alone, this season would have to be matched by a semifinal run. This team is capable of that.
That's the thing, is that nobody last year thought they were capable of doing it. Now,
doing it twice,
but
now we know.
That's so difficult though for football to get even past your district 2 years in a row. Yeah. That's very hard. How often do you see back-to-back even district champions for football?
Go back to the Romeo won the title in 15,
and then 16 they made it to the
regional. They lost in regional.
They were one game away from
the state championship again.
No.
Yeah. They lost to CC in the Final Four. I don't know what that would be called, but...
So then they lost in semifinals.
That's just the state semis. I thought they were one game short of the...
No, they lost in state semis, yeah.
So
they won their region.
Yes.
So, so that is so hard to do for anybody, but you look at teams, that Dakota at one point went back-to-back. De La Salle did it a couple years ago with Giannoni.
Didn't Clarkson do it at one point early in the 2010s?
They may have. Don't test my memory like that. Not possible.
But I'm saying, even for me as a, if I'm looking at it from a coach's perspective, one playoff win, it's great. 2
Well,
playoff.
they're not done yet.
Well, I know, but I'm saying 2 playoff wins. Okay, but really, unless you're getting that district championship, unless you're getting some sort of title out of it, then 1 or 2 wins in playoffs. Yeah, it's fun and all, but I want that. I want that as part of my legacy. 1 district win, 2 district
Well,
wins.
obviously, every coach wants that as their
Yeah,
Well,
legacy.
no, but I'm just saying, like, what is 1 or 2 playoff wins if you don't win that district?
I don't know. Ask Grosse Pointe South what 1 or 2 playoff wins would feel like right now, man. I tell you, I think to me it is the goal. I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to win a district title, but I mean, this year that's 3 wins. A district title this year is worth its weight in gold. Man, you guys, instead of winning, it just the expansion of the playoffs. It doesn't make things. I mean, look for Dakota and Stevenson,
yeah.
right. But it's still one more time you got to show up. It's one more time you're going to be tested. But look, Zach, I think that you're right. Like at this point for Stevenson, it is district title or bust. I think though nobody's going to criticize them for having a bad season if they don't get there. But I don't see why in a couple weeks we can't be having that conversation. This team has the talent, they have the capability, and we'll talk about this in just a second. Their next game to me wildly interesting.
Yes.
These 3 matchups there are because there are 4 MAC teams left, red teams left, but again we have another MAC on MAC, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, it does guarantee a spot in the district title game for the MAC Red.
We like
that's
that.
good. Yeah, we like that. So let's run down the scores one more time. Massive upset in Division II, District 14. Grosse Pointe South falls at home to the 8-seed Oak Park. That game 35-27. Chippewa Valley at home 21-14 over Eisenhower. That's District 8. Staying in District 8, Romeo on the road 20-3 over Anchor Bay. One more game in
20-6.
What did I say?
20-3 again.
Why? Can
Number
both,
3.
Can we both look at my notes and it says 6? I don't know why I can't even read. Somebody throw this guy out of here. I know they're the 3 seed, but still. Anyway, where were we?
Good. We're good.
Lance Cruz,
Lance
Lance
Cruz
Cruz North.
2 of us are good. Dakota at home, 43-6, blows Lance Cruz North onto the water. One more, Stevenson. This one in District 7, 41-15 over Farmington. So
next week.
Southfield A&T, they're the 4 seed in District 7, coming off of a 62-6
let's just
win
look at what they
over
did to
Athens.
the 5
And you
seed.
do have those numbers correct
Yes.
this time.
Oh, I got it right this time, yeah.
These numbers are correct. That is 62-6 over
And
Athens.
they did that to the 5 seed.
Correct. Those games
That's
should
not
be
like
more
it was an 8 seed.
toss-up territory. And remember, Southfield A&T also in the OAA Red. So to me, now if you're Stevenson,
You got some prep. You got some prep to do.
It's MAC Red Pride on the line now.
and if you
I'm throwing it out there.
and likely again, and that's going to be true for Chippewa Valley against Stony Creek coming out of the OAA White. But
anytime you play any other conference, MAC Red Pride is on the line.
So with Southfield A&T, Stevenson's going to have to if things go the way you think they will, Stevenson's likely going to have to beat back-to-back OAA Red teams to get out of this district. And I mean, man,
Yep.
what a challenge! And to me, what an exciting challenge for Stevenson. Right? We talk about the comeback or the legacy or whatever. Like, if you're able to get out of this district,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at it this way. It's like for Dakota, they're the odds-on favorite, I would say, in District 8. They get to play teams that they know, that they are familiar with.
Yeah.
With Stevenson, they have to play teams that are at the same talent level, but they have no clue who they are as a team.
That's a
They've
much
not played
tougher
them,
task.
right.
Much tougher task.
And
But I think they're up for it.
And
I think they are, too.
Chippewa Valley had the benefit of being in the MAC on MAC game this past week against Eisenhower. They're going to have to step out a little bit, and well, not a little bit. They're going to have to come out and play Stony Creek, which also in the OAA, though they are in the white. Stony Creek hasn't lost a football game this year, but we talked about this last week. They didn't play on Friday,
First round bye.
right? There was a void. And so it goes to the top seed. So obviously Stony Creek goes on to the second round. And that Chippewa Valley game, it really depends on, I think there are 2 Chippewa Valleys. And
I agree. It's the same thing with Romeo.
Yeah. Right. And so it depends on, to me, this game, with all due respect to Stony Creek, if the quote-unquote correct Chippewa Valley team shows up.
If they play like they did in the second half, I have no doubt that they will win this game.
Well, and we also have to wonder, is the talent level from red to white in the OAA the same as the difference between the red and white in the MAC? Because I think we've seen, just based off what's happened in the last 2 weeks, the talent difference between the two divisions are night and day.
Yeah.
I think,
let's be honest.
I know I'm going to get this wrong because I'm just not smart, but I know last year that Stony Creek and Eisenhower played in the postseason.
It was the first round.
Or was it the second round?
It had to be the first round.
I thought it was in the second round.
I will look it up.
Ike lost, or didn't Ike lose to Lake Orion in the third round?
No, they beat Lake Orion.
They beat Lake Orion
because they lost to Davison, right?
Yeah, because Davison beat
Romeo first round.
Romeo, Eisenhower, and Stevenson. But I thought,
let's see, they played. They didn't even play Stony Creek. They played Adams.
Oh, it was Adams. So I'm in the wrong.
Yeah,
see?
we're just completely all over the place.
All right, see you guys next week.
For what it's worth, that one I didn't have my notes. I was ad-libbing and got it wrong.
Yes,
I thought they matched up with somebody, but
it was an OAA team, so you got that right.
That's why this is called the Mac Attack and not the OAA.
Attack. But you know me, I like to know everything, and when I don't know everything, I get mad. So now I'm just mad. No, I'm kidding, but not really. Stony Creek and Chippewa Valley. I don't know. Between the first two games we talked about, the third game, the Romeo at Dakota, like, I don't know. I know Romeo's playing better, but
Dakota's a lot to handle,
dude.
They might be the most dangerous team left in the red right now.
I don't think there's any question about.
It's.
But I mean, Romeo proved that they could hang with them.
That's the thing here,
yeah, exactly. That first half was very interesting just a few weeks ago.
It's whether or not they can play all four quarters.
Once again, which team is going to show up?
You have to, and we've seen this. It happened once. Stevenson did it. Dakota's got this unbelievable ability. I don't want to get too dramatic, but you watch Alabama, and Nick Saban is like the king of the second half adjustment. No matter what happens in the first half, he'll fix it, and things will be okay in the second half. It's not exactly the same here with Dakota, but what they're able, it's not about fixing things for them in the second half. It seems it's like they find this extra, it's like in a video game, they find the power boost.
They have that like stamina boost at halftime.
They hit that button and all of a sudden
it's just more than every other team.
That's right. That's correct. And that's what it is that their ability for output, it just exceeds what anybody else is capable of handling. It's an overload.
Yeah.
And so Romeo's going to have to find a way to do what Stevenson did and build a dam and hold it all back. Because, I mean, that game, 7 points, and it was a special teams or defensive score. It was a block punt.
Yeah.
And then that
Listen, no one's asking you to beat Dakota in all four quarters. It's just when you do lose a quarter to Dakota, just make sure it's not by 2 touchdowns.
Right. And
don't let them get too far ahead.
Well, and
it's about containing them.
And in that same thought, it's about capitalizing on every opportunity you have.
You can't make mistakes if you're wrong. You can't have those fumbles or those penalties like you did against Anchor Bay.
Big plays can't go to waste. If you get down inside the 35, 30, 25 points, got to have them, right? If you force them into third and long, gotta stop them.
The good thing about last game is that when they did get onto the opponent's side, like within the 35, they scored. Actually, they only had, because the 2 touchdowns that they scored were from like the 40 and out.
Yeah, that first pass was
63
deep.
yards.
Yeah.
And then the second one was like 37. So I mean, really, they really only had one drive get into that territory, but I don't know if you're going to be able to get those big plays against Dakota.
I tell you, throwing the football against Dakota is, as a dog would say, rough.
But
I'm telling you,
Romeo's got to throw the ball well if they want to win that game. They have to.
No, Romeo's going to have to be.
They're going to have to play well on every facet of the game.
Multi-dimensional, right? If you show yourself to be one-sided, Dakota will sell out and make your life incredibly difficult. Gentlemen, that means we've got so much to talk about on Wednesday, and it seems. And again, the whole COVID thing, I'm just so stressed out over somebody having to be disqualified.
Let's just not talk about it.
But what I'm saying, but I only said it to say this, is that it seems as if we're going to get, right now, at least one MAC Red team into a district championship game, right? I mean, Romeo and Dakota, somebody's got to go forward.
If I'm a betting man, I'm saying we have 3 teams.
I like the way this stacks up.
I'm throwing it out there.
And we'll have our picks on Wednesday again. And I want to say this before we go anywhere directly to Grosse Pointe South and to Eisenhower. Just a fantastic season. I know that this has been a weird season, and both teams had different seasons, right? I mean, you look at what Grosse Pointe South did, the way they were able to come into the red and have success and get so close to winning that MAC Red championship and having just a really difficult loss in the postseason. And then, Eisenhower really struggled at the early onset, and then they got better. They pulled an upset, were able to finish off the season against Anchor Bay. And, they came in and played a really good game against Chippewa Valley, couldn't finish it off. But, these two teams are part of what makes the MAC Red so strong, especially adding Grosse Pointe South. It just, we hate to see them go.
We asked a question a couple weeks ago about who had the most disappointing season, and I don't think you can say that with any team now.
Not now.
No,
because
the way it ended.
Because of how it ended and how Ike is.
I know Grosse Pointe South feels it, though.
Yeah.
They feel it.
But Chippewa Valley and Chip and Romeo both got to be feeling really good.
They won a
right
playoff
now.
game, and with Ike, you played your best football at the end, and you came so close. You got to be happy with how you finished the season.
Yeah.
How you turned it around. So I don't think that question holds any water anymore.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 32andmain.com.
Thanks for listening to the Mac Attack with Zach and Zach. For more, visit 32andmain.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mac Attack Pod. And don't forget to like the Mac Attack with Zach and Zach on Facebook. The Mac Attack is a proud member of the 32 and Main Network.